Civil servants in Belgium will no longer have to answer phone calls or take emails outside office hours after the country became the latest in Europe to legally allow workers the right to disconnect. Tina Weber is a research manager at Eurofound, a foundation for the improvement of living and working conditions.
I think what many of us have experienced over the last couple of years is that work has very much been brought home, with so many of us teleworking. It's not a new phenomenon that people have been asked to work maybe outside their normal working hours using digital tools, but it obviously poses the risk that the private life and working life is increasingly getting blurred. People are asked to work outside their normal working hours, sometimes unpaid, and this really messes up people's work-life balance. So a right to disconnect can help with this, but it can also be difficult to maintain the flexibility that a lot of us have become a bit more used to work maybe in the evening and take a little bit of time out during the day. But obviously it could also restrict employers' flexibility to draw on the time of employees.
You talk about getting that balance right. The pandemic has accelerated change in the way that we work. Could this move undermine that flexibility?
It very much depends on how the right to disconnect is being implemented, and the experience of the countries that have a right in legislation so far shows that this tends to be negotiated and has to be negotiated between employers and trade unions at the workplace level. And when you look at the policies on the right to disconnect that are introduced at the workplace level, they do tend to try and strike that balance, by introducing relatively soft measures such as providing training, indicating to workers that it is important to also disconnect from work. Within each workplace, it's also a balancing act, but that's part of the conversation which the legislation also allows workers and employees to have.
Ireland, Portugal, they've introduced similar measures. Do you think this is all a precursor to an EU 4-day week?
This isn't strictly about maybe limiting the number of days that people work. It's simply ensuring that individuals are not forced to work and stay connected constantly outside of working hours, which has been shown to also have a negative impact on their health and ultimately on productivity and maybe also their job satisfaction.